talk about an interesting story coming out of Vancouver. Émilie Castonguay, once upon a time a player agent, someone who looked there was a chance maybe she could have been in for the Montreal Canadiens GM job. She now surfaces in Vancouver as the team's first female assistant general manager in franchise history. Jess, I'd like to know your thoughts on that and if you think the Canadiens will do something similar.
I think it's a fantastic hire. If you speak to anyone in the hockey world, everyone is very impressed with Émilie Castonguay. They said, she's really the rising star when it comes to player agents in the NHL. So I think it was a great move by the Canucks to pick her up and bring her part of their franchise. Now, I thought it was super interesting during that press conference when she revealed that she was not invited for an interview by the Montreal Canadiens for the GM job. I wasn't too surprised that she didn't get it. She's 38 years old, still young in the hockey world, and I could see why they would want to go with someone who has more experience like Kent Hughes. But the fact that they didn't even give her an interview, like a lot of us outside of hockey know, if you go for an interview for a job and they go, you know what, we don't feel you're perfect for this position, but we have something else for you, would be perfect. And the Canadiens have been talking about bringing more women into the management position since they drafted Logan Mailloux back in July. And if you look around, there's tons of very great women in the hockey world working for other organizations or are available here that the Canadiens really seem to not jump on. Julie Chu, the coach of the Concordia Stingers women's hockey team, she was invited down to Florida. Julien Brisebois flew her down to be a special guest at their training camp. She's right here in Montreal, and yet Tampa's taking her away. So I don't really know why Montreal has been so hesitant, especially when there's someone like Émilie Castonguay, who's probably the biggest name out there when it comes to a female in hockey, that they didn't give her an opportunity to come in and interview for the job.
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise that came out of that, Jess. And it was all we all sort of took for granted that she was one of the candidates. Yep. When Jeff Molson was talking about diversity and bringing, what more qualified woman out there in the hockey world is there for that to come into a position like that? So that was really shocking that the Canadiens didn't interview her at all. During her news conference, one of the reporters brought up that she's a 5-tool hockey executive. She's got a finance degree. She played Division I hockey. She's got a finance degree. She's got a law degree. She passed the bar. She was a player agent. She's done everything to be qualified. She checks off all the boxes, whether she's male or female, for this, which again makes it surprising that the Canadiens didn't invite her. But it was really, she got emotional during a news conference because the story behind her older sister, a year older, they were both big skiers when they were young, and they used to talk about how one day they wanted to move to BC to ski the big mountains. And tragically, her sister died from a routine operation. She died on their operating table. And Castonguay said in her last conversation with her sister told her, one day you're going to manage the Vancouver Canucks. And so when she got the call from the Canucks, you can just imagine how emotional that was. She had a vision board at home on her wall, and on it was Vancouver. And she said she wanted to end up in Vancouver. She wasn't sure how she was going to get there, whether it was as an agent or working for the NHL. So it's just a real beautiful story. I'm really happy for her. She spoke about how she takes a non-binary approach to sports. She always has. She's never been intimidated being the only woman in the world in the room. She wore number 11 as a player because Kirk Muller was her favorite player as a kid growing up. So I think it's just a wonderful story, and hopefully it's going to open up more doors for women moving forward in the hockey world.
And for me, I'm very happy for her. She's been given an opportunity. She's worked hard. She's the only woman player agent that was certified, through the NHLPA. So she's paid the price, so to speak. And now she's been given an opportunity to go in an environment that is well-deserved. And I, obviously wish her all the best. And as far as the Montreal Canadiens go, yes, Jeff Molson spoke about trying to have some diversity in his employees. And, this is where we're at in so many parts of what's going on in life and business today. And I think it's a great thing. And, we also have to remember that these people and their hirings work together with some other personalities. So it's very, very critical to believe that they have to obviously get along well, more than not well, in order for them to do a good job. So the guys that are upstairs there and the hirings that they do make, depends on personality, and obviously sometimes it depends on a little break. But I think it's going the right way. I think it's great to see the women given the opportunity to step in some management roles, and I think it's just a start and more to come.
I think it was Pierre Lebrun who reported the day after she was hired that Matthew Darche is among the guys being interviewed for the GM job in Vancouver. So it'd be very interesting if you end up with a combination of Matthew Darche and Émilie Castonguay with the Canucks.
Also, I believe in that same report as well, that tweet, he mentioned Scott Mellenby and Sean Burke were also in for it as well, which would be very interesting if they were to go in that direction. I mean, it would just be pretty interesting. But also with the Canadiens, I'll say this in terms of them saying that they want to diversify their ranks, whether it's by hiring a woman or hiring a person of color. It's not too late for them to do that. I was of the impression that I was pretty convinced that depending on whoever they hire for the GM job, maybe that opens the door up for either Castonguay or Danielle Sauvageau or a woman or some other person of color to be in some AGM role or some other front office role. So it is surprising to know that Castonguay wasn't even granted an interview. So I'm a bit surprised at that, but it's not too late for the Canadiens to find someone who fits that criteria. Stu, go ahead.
At Hughes's at the news conference to introduce Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton had spoken about how they interviewed these 11 people and they might go back to some of them to offer them other positions. And at that point, I thought, well, Castonguay, I could see her possibly being.
It made sense to me too.
Yeah, that's excuse me. It's not a good look on the Canadiens that they didn't even interview her.
Well, especially like I mentioned, since July, they've been saying that they want to add more women. Nothing's happened, and you had the perfect person right there and you didn't even give her an interview.
Yeah, it is very weird to see. Let us know in the comments section your thoughts on Émilie Castonguay joining the Vancouver Canucks as an assistant general manager. Subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out show on YouTube. Subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out newsletter. MontrealGazette.com/newsletters is where you're supposed to go to subscribe to that newsletter. Visit hockeyinsideout.com to watch our full episode.